Hey guys, this is Jason. This is my review for Orion and the Dark, a new DreamWorks animated film that's been released on Netflix recently and is based off of the book by Emma Yarlett. It is about an 11-year-old kid named Orion, voiced by Jacob Tremblay, who is really afraid of everything around him. He's afraid of bullies, he's afraid of clowns, he's afraid of talking to a girl that he really likes, he's paranoid about what he wants to do and people that he talks to, so it can get pretty annoying after a while. Then one night he gets a visit from a spirit known as the Dark, who helps Orion go over his fears and see the beauty in both life and the dark itself. Now before we continue with this review, I do want to say this. I am back making more videos just so that you haven't watched my anticipated / skeptical movies of 2024 video. I posted that video recently and I hope you guys enjoyed that video when I posted it. I mean, if you are interested in knowing more films I'm excited to watch this year, then watch that video. I mean, you're excited to know what other films I want to see, aren't you? I'm gonna be honest, I've never read the Orion and the Dark book before. I didn't even know that that was a book until recently. I've never read it myself. I don't know like most of the characters from that book besides this film. So I went into this film with an open mind, hoping I would see something different in a movie like this. But since we're talking about a DreamWorks movie, I can at least say this. I used to love a lot of DreamWorks' older films like The Prince of Egypt, The Road to El Dorado, Shrek 1 and 2, the Kung Fu Panda trilogy, Madagascar, and of course the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy. But besides those films, the rest of their newer films really haven't been the greatest. I mean, they have made some films that were fantastic, like Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, but they've also made some animated films that are more mediocre, like Trolls. This is also written by Charlie Kaufman, who's known for directing movies like Anomalisa and I'm Thinking of Ending Things. He's also written some other films like Being John Malkovich, Adaptation, and Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, so this movie does have some potential to be really good. And now that I've seen this film, what do I think? I'm a little mixed on this film. There's some things in it that I like and some things that I do not like. First off, the animation is really good. I think the animation is very well done, mostly in the backgrounds, with some pretty cool shots of both Orion and the Dark in the sky, or whenever both the Dark and the other spirits are using their powers. But with some of the human characters, including Orion, there's a little part about the human characters that feels a little off. Like, there are times when they can look a little cartoony with their eyes close to each other for some reason, which I don't know if that's how they're supposed to look in the book, or that's some kind of like creative thing that they were going with the character design. I thought the voice acting was pretty good. Jacob Tremblay is pretty good as the voice of Orion, and it's crazy seeing him all grown up now. We all first saw him in the movie Room with Brie Larson, and he was very little in that film, but now he's already grown up. It also has a good message about not being afraid of the dark and not be afraid of so many things that would happen throughout your life. Being paranoid about something that you're scared of won't get you anywhere if you don't do it. Because if you get constantly paranoid and scared about something that you've been wanting to do but you can't because of a bad thought that you have, then you're really not going to get anywhere with this part in your life unless you do something about that and learn to face your fears and be able to achieve that goal. That is a good message for kids to learn about learning to control your fear. And now, sadly, for some of the issues, because this movie has quite a bit, and one of them is that unfortunately the main character Orion is pretty annoying in this film because he's afraid of literally everything and he's paranoid about going on this field trip with a girl that he has a crush on. Like, he talks about everything that he's afraid of and why he doesn't really talk to anyone else around him and why he doesn't like to talk about this girl and why he's afraid to go on this field trip with her. He does that throughout the first half half of the film, and to be honest, I really couldn't stand him. Now, I get that that's supposed to be his arc. He's supposed to have that so that he can learn not to be afraid of everything around him, and when he learns more about the dark, he learns that there is some of the beauty in some of the dark, but it still doesn't change that the first 40 minutes of him can leave a bad taste. Some of the humor can be a little flat. There really weren't that many humorous moments that make me chuckle. I mean, there were a couple, but for the most part, it's just like some of the humor that most of the kids can laugh at. And there were also some parts in the film that did kind of drag the film a bit. Like whenever we focus on like other things that are happening and we're introducing other characters that the dark knows, it does sometimes slow the movie down when that happens. Now we get to one subplot that is kind of bugging me, and I'm gonna try my best to explain it without getting into spoilers because it's a pretty big one. So I'll just say this. There are two characters that get introduced after Orion meets the Dark, and to be honest, it did feel a little out of left field. Like, I get why it's supposed to be there. It's supposed to be a very heartfelt and sometimes cutesy subplot, but with how they use it in the film that's supposed to be integral to the plot, it wasn't even introduced in the beginning of the film, which made me think that maybe they had an alternate opening that did connect with this subplot, but they for some reason had to remove it for the actual opening that is in the film. So there's gotta be some reason why it didn't have a full explanation to why it didn't have a full introduction in the beginning of the film. And the way they use this subplot in the third act really doesn't make any sense. It really gets confusing once you start thinking about it. Like, you have a character that's making something up that's supposed to help make the third act be a lot of fun, but when you start seeing everything happening and you start thinking about it, you're wondering, is this really happening or is this just in the character's head? It's really confusing, especially with how they do it in the third act. Orion and the Dark isn't a bad film. It's still an okay film with some pretty good animation for the most part, good voice acting, and some good characters, and it does have a good message for kids to learn about not having any fear of the dark. The movie will amaze them. It will give them awe and wonder for some of the powers that some of the spirits have, and I mean, it might become a childhood favorite for some kids. I mean, there are some animated films that I loved as a kid that aren't the greatest when you remove the nostalgia factor, like James and the Giant Peach. I loved that movie when I was a kid, but when you remove that nostalgia, it's still good. It's still a lot of fun, but there are times where you still can't help but find some of the issues in some of the story, and this film has a lot of issues too. It does have some mostly unlikable characters and a very annoying lead that's still scared of everything, and it has a moment in the third act that really doesn't fully make sense once you think about it. I will say this, if you have kids and they watch animated films and they're afraid of the dark and they have fears of what they have, then get them to watch this film on Netflix. This movie might help them overcome their fears. But if you want to watch it as an adult and see if it's still fun for adults to watch, then I say at least watch it once in your life, because you're not going to get a whole lot with the main story. I'm going to give Orion and the Dark a C. So guys, if you have seen Orion and the Dark, what did you think about it? Did you think it's one of the best animated films, or do you think that this is or maybe one of the worst you've seen? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like this review, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Like, please hit that subscribe button. Please, I need more subscribers. Can you please hit that subscribe button? Please. Hit the notification bell so you know what other videos I'm posting. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.